Yeah.
And as we walk out of the class, beginning to walk in. And then instead of a lecture, they gave us a 1-hour exam.
Okay, I'll be right back, folks. I gotta check out something.
Can anybody see me on the computer? It's
Yes. Yes, I can.
Oh, and I only asked because Ada's name is where my name should be.
Yes,
Oh, I'm on.
she put you through Ada's computer and we can see you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I don't know why.
Hi, good afternoon. How are we doing? Welcome back. Happy September. Happy fall.
Glad to see you.
Almost. Okay. So how's, what a beautiful day today. Absolutely beautiful. Anybody going to the senior centers in person?
Yes,
Oh, yeah? How's it going?
good exercise.
Very cautiously, we have to wear our masks, but that's not a problem. Did you have a good summer?
Yeah, it was a very nice summer, very busy.
Quick.
Very busy, can't complain. Yeah. A lot of work. Helping a
I
lot
was
of
glad
people.
to hear that you
Well,
weren't
that's
doing this
good.
for this
That's
summer
good.
because I thought I just missed them all.
So I can't really hear that much, but that's okay. Yeah, so, but I'm happy that we're back. It's, it was a nice little break.
On Friday?
I loved it. It's the first one I went to. I didn't go before. And it was,
Oh, I've gone for years. That was nice.
it was fun. Yeah, we all had a good time. Susan,
Susan,
Yes.
are these classes really going to be, are they really going to be 2 hours?
I'm watching the cooking demo while I
know,
wait.
No.
You need to tell people that we can hear
Dr.
It's an
them.
hour max.
Oh, he's here.
Dr. Fierstein has just joined us, so
I had a little bit of a problem.
Probably more like 45 minutes.
yes, I
Yeah,
went.
because
No,
you were
2
doing
hours?
it in,
No. Who said it was 2
you were
hours?
doing it
Wow.
in 40 minutes.
I mean, I love hanging out with you guys, but
Thank you so much for
2
joining
hours is
us.
a long time.
So
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask everybody to mute yourselves. Dr. Joe's gonna give us an update today. We're so thankful that he's come back to join us. I know several of you have heard him
I
speak
think
on
they need to mute.
earlier times in the early stages.
What's that?
It's just something going on at the senior center. I
They're
think
they're doing something else on when they have this on. They need to mute themselves.
Yeah.
it sounds like they're in a room with an in-person
Yeah,
presentation.
maybe. So anyway, so we're back. I'm so happy to have you back with me. It's been a lovely summer and definitely feels like fall again, or fall now. But I'm raring to go. I wish I could be in person, but this is great. I get to see more of you by doing it virtually. So I think you all know who I am, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I gotta do my little spiel. I'm Susan Doyle of Oasis Senior Advisors. We help people find the right assisted living and memory care.
And just
If everyone could mute themselves, that would be great. And then, we'll handle questions at the end and we can do a little, Q&A or chat or, catch up with everything. But we've been really busy this summer, not just with cooking or my garden and stuff like that, but there's been a lot of seniors who've needed a lot of help and we've helped a lot of families. So always good. A lot of new buildings opening up. So if anybody's curious about any of the assisted livings, let us know. We'd be happy to talk about them and show you around, or your friends, any of your friends who might need care. We're there to help. So anyway, we are back for Downsized Gourmet. It's September and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of produce in the garden, but we're going to focus this time on this delicious lemon cake recipe that I found. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Starbucks before, but they have this awesome lemon pound cake. So I've got a little easy version of that. And then we're going to do, and an apple compote. I never knew what compotes were before this. I had worked on a blueberry one, but we just went apple picking on Saturday with my daughters. And yes, apple picking, went to Pennsylvania. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these apples? Apple compote is a great way to use up some of those apples, and it's very versatile. We'll talk about that. I grew so much basil. My garden went crazy with basil. So we're gonna make some homemade pesto, fresh pesto, super, super easy. All my kids know how to make it. We eat it a lot. And then for the main course, so we're doing things a little backwards. We're gonna make this shrimp, ginger mint shrimp. You could do it on the grill, but we're gonna do it in the cast iron skillet and finish it in under the broiler because I can't move you to my grill. So, but that's fine. So we're gonna start off with this really easy lemon cake recipes. Once again, I'm gonna, if you put your email addresses in the chat box, I'll send you all these recipes to you directly. This way you can have them, but super, super easy. So this one is great because it's all about the cake boxes. It's really, really moist because we use a yellow cake and a lemon pudding. We also use sour cream, which makes it super moist as well. But we're just gonna start off with just a box of yellow cake mix. I'm gonna use my my trusty mixer, and it's really all about dumping everything in. So here's my yellow cake. This is gonna make 2 loaves of lemon cake. We're gonna use loaf pans, okay? And you might say, oh gosh, that's so much cake. And let me tell you something, you eat one, you freeze one, you bring one to senior center, you will be everybody's best friend, because I made this last week, then I froze a piece. So good. So it's, as I said, yellow cake, lemon pudding, and then it's gonna be a 1/2 cup of olive oil. Where's my cup? Oops, that's the wrong one. All right, just regular olive oil. And we stick that right in. And then 4 large eggs. So I've got 4 eggs in here. I'm just gonna crack them in a bowl first, just in case I get shells. Or I always start watching cooking shows and they always say, there's been so many times I've cracked an egg and they've been bad. I've never had a bad egg, but that's okay. So anyway, you crack them, then you dump them. Okay. And then it's 8 ounces of sour cream, which is just one of these small containers of sour cream.
What's that?
I can never
A
open.
pint.
And just dump it in. Any kind of, whenever you make a cake that has sour cream in it, it is really moist. Okay. So that goes in, and then a 1/2 cup of milk. I measured it earlier. And then 6 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. That's about 2, maybe 3 big lemons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little for luck. And then, I'm sorry, it's gonna be a little loud, but you mix it for 2 minutes. Really, basically, so everything gets well combined. Throw this stuff in the garbage. And then we're going to, I have 2 loaf pans, which I already sprayed, but I'm gonna spray them again because I sprayed them earlier. We're gonna heat the oven, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. pretty good. So this has an incredible lemon flavor. It's gonna cook, it cooks about 45, 50 minutes. We're probably not gonna be able to see the final version. Maybe we will, we'll see. But what it's topped with is a sugar glaze, which is gonna be 2 cups of confectioner's sugar and 3 tablespoons of lemon juice that we're gonna mix together. When we take the cake out of the pans, you're gonna let it sit, make sure it's nice and cold, then you pour the glaze on top of it and let it sit. It's really delicious. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute, because I did make it, of course. So this is, oops, the batter. What a mess. We're gonna put this, stick it over here, because I won't need it again. And just pour them in evenly into your cake pans, and they really do rise up really nicely. As I said, I made this, you know, it was 2 weeks ago that I made it, and I had it out under a cake pan, I mean, on my cake dish for about a week, and it was still, on day 5, it was super moist. I couldn't believe it. It's really, really spectacular and very lemony. So if you like lemon, this is the cake for you. I'm a huge fan of this. So I'm just gonna stick these both in the oven, right? So they're just pretty even. As I said, 350 degrees until, I'll come back and talk about that. That's gonna be 4 o'clock. Until, you know, you put it, you know how you test a cake when it's done, you put a toothpick in it, and when it comes out clean, it's done. This recipe, as I said, takes about 45, 50 minutes. Okay, so that's that. Now to make the glaze, I'm gonna take this out because my trusty husband and producer over here is saying, get it out of the way, it's taking up space. So to make the glaze, it's really very easy. It's
Sugar, what kind of sugar?
some confectioner's sugar, which I can't open right now for some reason.
Powdered sugar.
And it's 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. You're gonna get a lot of glaze.
2 cups.
And as I said, 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, which I already
Water.
squeezed. And that does not look like it's enough. For some reason, something is the matter with mine. 3 tablespoons. I'm gonna go back to this because for some reason, my glaze is not working out. It worked out really well. So we're just gonna, there we go. So you're just gonna, as I said, use a whisk and you're gonna whisk it. Definitely a little more lemon juice. We're gonna need to add more lemon juice, but basically you see that's the glaze, and then we pour it on top of we're gonna pour it on top of the cake when it's done. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. And this is just a piece that I saved from my last one that I made. And it turns out just like that. It's really pretty spectacular. There we go. It's so good, so moist. So that's the lemon cake. And I'm gonna put that over to the side. And the next thing that we're going to make is the apple compote. Now, compote, I was like, okay, what is compote? And it's kind of like applesauce, but in chunks. But with compote, what can you eat it with? It's apples and cinnamon and sugar. You could put cardamom and ginger in it, anything you want, and you cook it on the stove. You can eat it over, you could use it with oatmeal, over yogurt, ice cream. You can also serve it with pork. If you make pork roast, it's delicious. Instead of using applesauce, use the compote. Also with sweet potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes, you can mix them in or serve it right next to it. If you like turkey sandwiches, which I love turkey sandwiches, you could put that on your turkey sandwich with some, if you like cheese and maybe some mustard. Oh my gosh, delicious. So we're gonna make that right now. So as I said, we went apple picking, and this is what it looks like, but you can't really tell. But we went apple picking, and what do you do with all those apples? So what kind of apples do you use to make compote? The answer is anything you want. Tart ones, not tart ones, it really doesn't matter. But the key is that if you like to leave the skin on, leave the skin on. If you don't want to leave the skin on, then don't leave the skin on. It really doesn't matter. But you want to you want to take the seeds out of the apple. If you have one of those fancy cores, that you kind of stick in, you could do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut the apples into small cubes. So I made this last night and it was really, really yummy. I've got this, where's my little cutter? Here it is. I think I've shown this to you when I've cut potatoes before, but this is one of my favorite little devices. And my son, who's off at college, what did he get for Christmas? One of these cutters. I know, you might think that's weird, but he's really happy with it. So these kind of make them uniform. Just kind of put it in here, or you can just cut them into pieces, right? You could just cut them into some smaller pieces, right? Doesn't really matter. And so, as I said, I like using my little chopper. Saves my hands. Cut these, and so it says to use 2 or 3 apples. It's getting in my way. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna get it out of my way so I can see. So it's about 1.5 cups of diced apples, and this one, I feel like taking the skin off, so I'm going to do that. Unless it doesn't want me to. And this is also really good. If you've got some older apples that's sitting in the fridge and you don't really want to eat them, you could make them into an apple crisp or apple pie. But something like this is great because it can, once you make it, it'll stay really nice in the fridge for about a week, but then you can freeze it. So if you decided to freeze it, you can just put it in a basic plastic container and keep it in the freezer for up to 2 months, which is great. You get all these apples, you stick them in the freezer now, and then come Thanksgiving or whenever you want, you just kind of take it out. You can stick it in the microwave, which is what I would suggest to heat them up. Okay. So these are perfect size. And then just one more piece here. All right. So this, once again, this recipe is super, super easy. I couldn't believe how easy this was, or this is. So what we're going to use is, where's my cinnamon? It's, I'm gonna move this out of the way. It's just 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And here's my trusty teaspoon. You can also, as I said, you can put cardamom in it. Or you could put some ginger. I did that last night. It was delicious. Cardamom, you don't need that much. So I'm just gonna do a couple of shakes. Oops. Probably about 1/2 teaspoon. If you want ginger, you can add ginger too. I mean, I've got some ground ginger. I'm gonna give it a whirl, see if it tastes it. I'm sure it's gonna be delicious, unless it doesn't want me to open it. It doesn't want me to open my little packet. There we go. And I'll just do, the ginger's pretty strong. Just do, this is a 1/4 teaspoon. And then what do? We just mix it up. It's kind of like when you make apple crisp or apple pie. Same type of thing. You just mix it all up. This is actually a lot more apples than I expected it to be. That was a pretty big apple, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more. Because I like cinnamon. I like it to be really nice, sharp cinnamon taste. Okay, so that is what the apples look like. Just making sure you can see. All right, so they're nicely coated. So next I'm gonna do is we have to cook it. That's what's a compote. You have to cook it. So this, once again, is very simple. Where's my butter? I'm gonna move all this to the side. And it is 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. We're gonna put them in a medium-sized pot. And we're gonna melt the butter and add the sugar. And when it melts, and once the sugar melts, that's when we add our fruit. Ooh, I think that's a little bit. Ouch. Careful, flying lemon. Ooh. Something in my eye. Okay. Should have kept my glasses on. All right. So I'm just gonna, that's gonna melt. It's melting already very quickly, which is nice. And so when you make this compote, you could just use apples, but you can also add blueberries, raisins, whatever you want. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I had some leftover blueberries that were kind of getting a little, a little wet, starting to go. And I'm gonna add them to the compote. And as I said, I did this yesterday and I couldn't believe how delicious it is. So I guess if you had some cranberries, you could do that too. But really very versatile. Or if you just want to do apples, apples are fine. So once this butter melts and I'm stirring around, I'll show you. You're just kind of mixing it around. There we go. Perfect. And see that sugar's already melted. I'm just going to add the apple mixture to it. The apples with the cinnamon and cardamom and ginger. I'm going to add a handful of raisins. If I have yellow ones, if you have brown ones, doesn't matter, just whatever you have. And some blueberries. And I'm going to let that cook. I'm going to keep an eye on it. It takes about 15 minutes to cook. And I'm just going to swap it over to my other burner and we're going to keep an eye on it. Because the next thing, I'm going to need that burner for my shrimp. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Let me tell you, delicious. I know, it's like my favorite word. Okay, so, but the next thing that we're going to do, since I have a little bit of time in between here, we're going to make the pesto. So how do you make pesto? I don't know about your garden, if you've decided to grow basil. My basil went crazy this year. So I've made a few batches of pesto already. Yeah, you can go buy it. Stu Leonard's has a really nice pesto that they make. Wegmans has a nice one. I'm kind of funny about pesto. I'm not a big fan of nuts in my pesto, and I know a lot of people are allergic to nuts. I have to be very careful with it. So I like to make my own because I know what goes in it. And once again, if you know anybody who has any kind of nut allergies, you got to be aware of that. My son had at one point had a friend who came over and for dinner, and I said, "Oh, we'll make some pesto and pasta." And then I had a store-bought one, and she's allergic to nuts. And I said, okay, I guess we're not having that. So I always like to have some pesto in the freezer. So when we have basil, we're gonna take the basil off the stem and only use the leaves, right? I already washed this already, but we're gonna make sure we do that. This is about 2 cups of basil. Very, very simple to make this. So I hope you have a food processor. That's what we use. So you put the basil that you cleaned. I usually like to soak it first and then put it through a salad spinner to make sure that you get all that liquid out of it. You don't want to have wet basil leaves in here. Okay, so a lot of times I'll either put it through a salad spinner or take some paper towels, lay it out on the leaves. Lay the leaves on the paper towel, then roll it up and then unroll it. And that usually gets all the water out of the leaves. Okay, so we put in the basil. Also, you can use garlic cloves that you would put through your garlic press, or I cheat with minced garlic. Just if you do use your fresh garlic, like from the garlic cloves, if it's got a little old, which means it's got that little green piece sticking through it, that makes it kind of bitter. So just make sure you use like really fresh garlic. But it's probably about a teaspoon of garlic. Okay, so we're gonna put about a teaspoon of garlic in. And then important is the olive oil. You want to use good olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. And we're going to put it in.
Mr. Gowski.
It is a half a cup of olive oil. Stick it in there. We're going to take pepper, by about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I like using my pepper mill, or if you just have a shaker, that's fine too. I always use less. I can always add more. You can never take away. Pepper, I'm not that worried about. It's the salt. So with the salt, I just am going to do a pinch. As I said, you can always add. And if you've made it too salty, I've made it too salty before, and it's not as great. So it's salt, pepper, basil, garlic, and oil. If you are a fan of nuts, you can put in pine nuts, cannoli nuts. As I said, I can take it or leave it. I'm so used to not having nuts that I don't include that. But you could put in 3 tablespoons of pine nuts. Some people like walnuts. Not a big fan of walnuts in my pesto, but whatever works for you. And then we're going to put the top on. And we're going to be really loud. So we're going to pulse it. Turn it on until it's very fine. Now you're going to know just by looking at it if you need more oil. Like this is not fine enough. And I'll show you what I mean. So it's just too many leaves. It's almost like chopped basil. So it's not enough. So we're gonna add a little bit more oil. Oops. That's better. And this is really important. So yes, we add grated cheese, a half a cup of grated cheese, but only after you've mixed the oil and the basil, the salt and pepper and garlic. It's got to be in that way. If you put the cheese in before the oil and the basil and all that, before that's mixed, you're just gonna have one big mess. So this is what I mean. What? Okay, so it's got a nice consistency, right? That's, you see what it looks like. It's very, it's pasty. It's a paste. So I'm going to add my half a cup of grated cheese. I like Romano. Some people like basil. I like it a little sharper. So, and that's also why I don't like to use too much salt, because the grated cheese has a lot of salt. And then we mix it all up. I feel it's well done here. And then you can use it immediately. I'm going to put this over to the side. Oh, actually, and so to store it, you can put it in just a basic container, a little plastic container. And you can keep it in the refrigerator for probably up to a week. And then you can freeze it probably for up to 2 months. If you want to use it, obviously you need to defrost it. But let me tell you a little trick about when you put basil and pesto in a refrigerator. So you have that, and it's a beautiful green right now. And I don't know if you've used pesto before, but once you open it up and you start using it, it does turn brown. So the trick is, if you buy any of the store-bought one, there's always a layer of oil on top, and that really protects it and keeps it green. If you do use it and you notice that the top has gotten a little dark, just kind of scoop with a knife, just take the dark stuff off, and then it'll be green underneath. So that is my pesto. This is one, as I said, I make it and I freeze it in these little tiny containers. These are awesome. Or if you have little small ones, I've seen the little small ones, which are almost bigger than ice cubes. Those are nice. When you do use pesto for sauce, a sauce for pasta, you take a little bit of that starchy water that you cook the pasta in, maybe just 2 tablespoons up to 1/4 of a cup. Put it in the bowl, then add the pesto and mix it around, and that'll prevent that pesto from turning brown. I don't know if you've ever made pesto with pasta, and you put the pesto on, and then it turns brown and it doesn't look that great. It tastes good, but it doesn't look good. So that's a little trick, is you add a little bit of that starchy water to the bowl, add the pesto, then the pasta. So this, I'm gonna stick this back in the freezer so that I can use it another time. I'm gonna get rid of all of this stuff. Yeah, so I've got taking a quick look at my compote, and it's looking pretty delicious. Gonna keep that going for a while. All right, so my next thing that we're gonna do is this ginger mint shrimp. I made this 2 weeks ago, and I thought I died and went to heaven. I mean, really, so easy, so good. Now with the shrimp, It's just a pound of shrimp. I've used, like, the Trader Joe's is nice because they've got 1 pound bags. There's about 20 to 30 in them. Also, if you go to the grocery store, a lot of times they'll have those 2 pound bags of shrimp. They go on sale all the time. I always have shrimp in the freezer, so you can just pull out as much or as little as you want. So I'll just show you. I got this from, I don't know, I think probably Stop and Shop. And these were the jumbos, the really big ones. And I just use as much as I want. I defrost them. I stick them in, I defrost them in the refrigerator, or if I need a quick defrost, I'll put what I want in a colander, put some cold water over it and let them defrost. These are the ones that are cleaned and deveined. They only devein the one side of it. So they always devein, if you buy them, they do the one side, but not the other, the inside. So I always take the time to take the inside vein out. So how do you do that? I already did them already, but I take the tail off and then I do a quick cut, and then you'll see this black vein. I just kind of take it out. So for this, this is a pound of the, as I said, this I just got from Trader Joe's, and I clean them and devein them, and they're nice and dry. So for this recipe, we have to prepare the shrimp a little bit, and it's really not a big deal. You're just going to add some oil. It's really probably about a tablespoon of oil. It's lightly coat is what it says. Just lightly coat it. And then with shrimp, I always have to have garlic in it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep the vampires away from me, that's for sure. But where's my little spoon? All right. So I've got probably a half a teaspoon of garlic. You know, if you use this, maybe less. I like a lot of garlic, so if I put too much, it doesn't bother me. And then a pinch of salt. And we let that sit. Maybe 2 pinches. There's a lot of shrimp in here. Let that just kind of sit for a couple of minutes. All right, because once we cook this, it's gonna cook very, very fast. I'm gonna do it in my cast iron skillet, and then I'm gonna stick it in my oven. So I'm gonna preheat my broiler right now, and let's pray. Where's my broiler? My smoke alarm doesn't go off, but we'll see. So normally what you would do, if you can do this on the grill, super easy. But as I said, we can't go to the grill, so I'm gonna do it in the cast iron skillet and then finish it off under the broiler. Once you do that, it's probably about 4 minutes under the broiler, really, really fast. But the one thing I liked about this was that you use mint and ginger and lime. So my mint went crazy this summer too, and I've been using it. So this is my mint from outside, but you can go, the grocery store has mint. This is about 3/4 cup of mint leaves, and then fresh ginger. So we want to use a piece that's about half an inch when we peel it. If you don't have fresh ginger, I wouldn't use the dried, but they do have in the frozen section this frozen ginger, and I can show it to you, which works really well. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. It's called Duro. They have all kinds of spices. I've seen the basil, they have parsley, they have ginger. So that's really nice. And they're just, you pop out like these little pellets, right? It's really easy. And it's great, especially in the winter when you don't have fresh herbs. So you can find that. I've seen that in Stop and Shop. I've seen it at, sometimes Acme has it. Stu Leonard's has it. I don't know about Trader Joe's, but anyway. So what do we do with this? we're gonna chop it into little pieces. Really gonna, first we're gonna chop it, and then we're going to chop it with the mint together. And what we want to do, this is what the recipe says, and it really does make a difference. You get a nice knife, nice heavy duty knife, and you want to chop them all together. Do you want to put this, if you have like a mini chopper, if you have a Cuisinart, you got to be careful if you put it in like a food processor, it might become too pasty. And this, you just want it to be really a fine chop, but not pasty like the pesto. They said if you do decide to use a food processor, just be careful. Do those like mini pulses. But I gotta tell you, if it doesn't have to be super fine. This, if you can make it fine, that's great. But yeah, this is all I'm doing. You just gotta really, you chop it all together. They said if you don't want to do it this way and you want to put it in the processor, that's fine. But and what we do is after we cook the shrimp, you just put this on top of it. So we can move this out of the way so you can see. See how, I mean, that's not hard to do. You can use scissors too, but I've got it's a nice sharp knife that I have, and it's really, it's coming together nice, and you can see that fresh ginger in there. Okay, so we're gonna put this in a bowl, and we're gonna also add lemon zest. And I washed all these herbs ahead of time, okay? So, and I washed this lemon. We're just gonna zest it. And what is the zest? The zest is the green part. Or if you use lemon zest, just you don't want to grate the white part. You really just want the green part, right? Once it gets to that whitish color, you stop. This is lime. Yeah, this is a lime. Sorry, I know I was talking about lemon and lime. Anyway, so. And the zest really gives it a powerful flavor. Don't need that much. This is probably a teaspoon. Okay, and so then we just kind of mix that together. We're gonna let that sit. And what are we gonna do with the rest of the lime? We're gonna cut it into pieces. And we're gonna squeeze it on top of the shrimp when we're done. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It is really super delicious. All right, so that's gonna sit here, but we gotta cook the shrimp, right? So to cook the shrimp, I've got my cast iron skillet, which I'm heating up. This is one of my favorite things in the world. I think we talked about these before. Cast iron skillets, you can start cooking on the stove, and then you can move them into the oven, which is great. When you take care of a cast iron skillet, you want to make sure that you really don't use soap. It's just like water. You've got to dry them right away. Okay, don't let them sit wet on the countertop because then they get rusty. Okay, but so for this, it's already heated up and that oil is piping hot. So this is going to go, I'm going to put the fan on so that our alarm doesn't go off. And I'm going to add that shrimp, and let's pray to God like the alarm doesn't go up. And we're just going to move that shrimp around so that it's nice and flat. And just turn this off. And I'm going to stick it under the broiler. For a few minutes. All right, let's hope. Let's hope the alarm doesn't go off. I'm going to turn off this fan so that, okay, you can hear me. And how's my compote coming? Oh my gosh, I think it's ready. It looks
Well,
absolutely delicious.
just to see.
I'm gonna put it in a bowl
Mhm.
so that you can see it.
Okay. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I'm gonna stick that under the, oh, there we go.
I don't know if that's really worth it for 3 days. Honestly, I'm trying to think, when is
Welcome to the
October
Doyle
4th?
household. Oh gosh, so that's my compote, and as I said, what do we use?
Yeah.
compote for?
Yeah,
Um,
because it's
for
easier for me if I'm,
ice cream,
right now I'm not driving because of the way
yogurt,
I'm feeling. So it's
oatmeal.
easier to get a ride in Trumbull and Shelton. If it was a week or
Delicious.
so, or,
Okay,
earlier,
and now I am going to
something.
take
it probably, I would do
Could
it,
you
but
ask Alice to please
I
mute?
guess I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah.
my,
Alice,
Just let her know that, because if she really thinks I need to see him 3 days sooner, then I'll come in, but
could Alice mute herself, please?
right, so this, they said, huh?
Alice, please mute.
Oh, Alice, please mute.
She did.
Okay. So here's my shrimp. And I'm gonna put it on a, God darn. Goodness gracious, it's one of those days. I had a feeling this was gonna happen. All right. So, as I said, I'm gonna open the window. And I'm gonna turn the fan back on because it's a little smoky in here. Good thing about this is that we know that my smoke detector works. So we're gonna have these for dinner. I'm very excited. As I said, you can make these on the grill. Very easy to put them on the grill. I put them on skewers. And oh, boy. Get that on top. Stick this over here. Hopefully. Window. Here we go. All right. So then for this last thing, what we're gonna do is just top it with this lemon ginger topping. Just like this. And then I'm gonna squeeze a little, oops, squeeze a little bit of, no, I guess the lemon lime. The lime on top. That's gonna be dinner. Very excited. So if you make all of this, you're like, oh gosh, that's so much food. We'll make half of that. Or we make the whole thing. And what we did when I had this, I made a whole bunch. And the next day, I had it over mesclun greens or arugula or any kind of salad. Oh goodness. Or if you wanted to make a shrimp salad with mayonnaise or no mayonnaise, you could do that. Really versatile. And it's so flavorful. And you saw how easy that was. I mean, that did not take long to make at all. And really delicious. Now the compote, as I said, you could have it with ice cream or you could serve it with the cake, right? You could serve it with the cake. And what time is it? My cake is not quite done. Although, wait a second. Maybe it is. Let's take a peek at this. As it looks, might be done. Go figure. So beautiful. Let me get a toothpick. Let's see if it's done. Thank you. Oh man, it's done. Look at that. My little trick is I actually put it in convection bake. If you have a convection oven, it doesn't take 45, 50 minutes. It takes more like 35. So now I've got 2 of these, and you said, oh gosh, Susan, what am I gonna do with 2 lemon cakes? As I said, you're gonna freeze one for next month. Share it with your friends. Bring it to the senior center. Really, it's delicious. Have it for breakfast, have it for lunch. I also have a recipe for blueberry compote, which is, and I'll talk about, which is in my cookbook. I'll talk about that in a second, which is also delicious with this cake. We're gonna top, after the cake is cooled, we're gonna top it with that, with the sugar icing so that it looks just like this. And you're really liberal, you gotta be really liberal with that sugar, the sugar icing. You'll take it out, after about 20 minutes, and you put it on a wire, the cake on the wire rack so it's nice and cool. Then you put it on a plate and then just go crazy with the sugar icing. Once you ice it, you let it sit for about half an hour so it hardens a little bit, and yum, yum, yum. So that's what I have. And don't forget the pesto. I mean, the pesto, which I put it, where did I put? It's somewhere. Oh, here it is. Pesto, we can't forget this. I've made shrimp the same way. If you don't want to do the ginger and lime and mint, throw a little bit of pesto on top. Oh my gosh, delicious. I do that all the time too. Maybe mix it in with some pasta, like angel hair. Yum, yum, yum. So, do you have any, oh, and so I mentioned my cookbook. So we have, I think I was telling you guys, the whole last year, we've been doing this Downsized Gourmet, had about 12 episodes, and I made it into a cookbook called the Downsized Gourmet Cookbook. And it's with the printer right now. There's 65 recipes in there. Yes, it's 65 recipes. And we're gonna sell it at senior centers, all kinds of places, but all profits are gonna go to the Alzheimer's Association. You know, the Alzheimer's Association, near and dear to us. We work with people with dementia, trying to find placement for them. But Paul's mother also had Alzheimer's disease. And so this is something that's really important to us. We wanted to give back and do some kind of a fundraiser to help the Alzheimer's Association. So, so this is actually the cover. It's with the printer right now. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of bright. It's kind of bright. Yeah, we're gonna let the senior centers know about it. If you're interested, you can always email me, but I should probably have them by the middle of October. So really excited about that. My family's like, oh my gosh, you're doing a cookbook. That's great. Oh, perfect. But anyway, so thanks again for joining me. Any questions? Oh, Paul's bringing up, I think he shared the screen for a second so that you can see it. So you have any questions for any of my recipes, or tell me what you've been doing, or who's here? Don't forget to put your email address in the chat. So Paul's just gonna, I can't hear anything. Okay. You can unmute yourselves if you want to talk, or you don't have to. I'm sorry about my alarm going off. That happens sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. So we are continuing every third, oh, here we go. The third Wednesday, I'm sorry, the third Monday of every month. And we're doing it at 3 o'clock. As I said, it used to be at noon. Now we moved it to 3 so that people can go to the senior centers and enjoy the programming and then come home and cook with me.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything looks delicious.
Oh, it is. Let me tell you, this is dinner. And it's closer to dinner time, which is even better, because when we did the one at 12 to 1, I had to wait, or we had a very, late lunch.
Did you say these recipes are available online?
I'm gonna email them to you. So if you put your email address in the chat,
Okay, thank you.
I'll email them to you right away.
I put it in to go to Paul. Is that okay
perfect.
instead of into the general one? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Oh, he's right over there.
Well, I figured he's the one that does that part of it. So yeah,
I'm just the talent. He's the brains behind all of this.
there you go.
Oh, gosh. So, all right. Well, I think.
Thank you.
what time is it? Oh, you're welcome. And I can't believe I finished the cake too. I was shocking. So I hope you're able to enjoy or at least try them. If not, or if you do, let me know if you make anything and tell me how it turned out, because it's easy to do.
Very good.
I will be here same time next month. What is that? So it's whatever the third Monday is. Actually, I can tell you. Got this trusty little calendar. So it's October 18th.
Yeah,
At 3 o'clock. Okay, and it's the same Zoom link. So if you lose the email, or I'm sorry, if you lose something, or if you don't get the invitation, it's the same one. You could just put it on your calendar for next month, because as I said, we use the same one all the time. And we'll also do November, December, and I hope you're enjoying your senior centers. I hope they open up even more. It's been tough, but I know they're doing their best. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Happy September. Happy fall.